Hi there, my name is Donna Kozik, and I'm the founder of MyBigBusinessCard.com and the creator and leader of the Write a Book in a Weekend program. And I'm super excited today to be talking to Mindset Geek, Elle Edwards. Now, I can't really recall all the intersections that happened for Elle and I to get together, but all I know is whenever we do, we just kind of laugh and giggle and share great ideas and stuff like that. And since she is a mindset geek, and it's really important to get into the right mindset before you write a book in a weekend, I thought it'd be great to have a conversation with her to talk a little bit more about that, to give some tips and some suggestions, and really get you ready for the weekend. So, Elle, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Really excited to get to chat with you again and also get to chat with your audience as well.
Absolutely. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your official background?
Okay, here in the UK, there's a program that I watched when I was a kid called Blind Date with a lady called Cilla Black. And she used to say, "What's your name and where'd you come from?" And whenever I get asked that question, that's exactly what I think of. I hear Cilla saying, "What's your name and where'd you come from?" My story is quite convoluted. Which bit of it I tell you? The short version is I've written books because it scratched an itch for me. And after having scratched that itch, I got to thinking, actually, do you know what? There's loads of other people who have other itches to scratch. Not necessarily books, although obviously that's what we're talking about today. But my passion is to help people do the stuff that's important to them, because I think life is too short to be frustrated and fed up doing things that you don't love. And I love making people smile, which probably won't surprise you from our conversations. And when I fell into this world of people doing what they love from home back in 2010, I fell into the world of personal development. I was quite grumpy back then. I know that will probably surprise you. I was grumpy, frustrated, fed up. And thanks to the journey that I've been on, I'm a much happier, more content person. And I love the science of it, hence the geek stuff. So I'm not, although I'm a faith-based person, I'm not very woo-woo. And so what really excites me is taking the brain and sciencey stuff behind some of this woo-woo and actually putting it into action, which is where I've ended up today, really, and helping people put that into action.
Wow, that's fabulous, fabulous. And yes, and putting things into action is so important in all aspects of business and in life. And again, as we're talking about, especially when it comes to writing a book, and it's kind of interesting the different things that go through what I call a want to be author's mind as they're preparing for this journey of writing a book. So you say that you help entrepreneurs deal with that head junk around taking action. I was just wondering if you could have a few more specifics about that or some examples of what that looks like.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, like you rightly said, I mean, taking action is important, because as much as we all want to be happy, this whole idea about happiness, and people get a bit frustrated with me sometimes because some of my stuff I write about is about happiness. Oh, but it's business. But I maintain that if you're not taking action in your business and not moving forward, you're not going to be happy, you're not going to be content. So one of the things I love to do is I love to call people out on their excuses and their stories. Perhaps it's because I'm a storyteller myself, I don't know. But part of the way that we deal with this head junk is first by looking at the stories that are going on behind the scenes. Because people will tell you, oh, what's that expression? I'm forgetting it now, but people say I don't know, you create your own reality, which sounds a bit like woo out here, but it's actually true. You can have a situation that happens to you, and depending on the story you tell yourself about that situation, it will change how you feel in your body about it. It will change how you act. And so actually part of what I do is looking at, okay, so where are you right now? What is the story that you're telling yourself about this situation? Do we need to tweak that story? Do we just need to acknowledge that story? What do we need to do to that story so that you can move forward and take action from where you are right now? Because one of the things I didn't talk about, but I have this, one of my frustrations when my children were small, I used to tell stories and get really bubbly, and then people would roll their eyes at me. And for a long time, I felt quite squashed and had to be somebody that I wasn't. And it sort of tied up with a really angry, frustrated time in my life. And when I started being me and being the crazy, loopy sort of, I can be serious too, but what you see today is much more freeing. And I've lost my train of thought completely. What that had a point to what I was going to say. Oh, I know
Well,
what it.
you're just probably feeling much more joyous, and full of love, like you were talking about in the early part
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, for
of
sure.
the answer, because your real self is coming through, right?
No, absolutely. And I guess that's what I know. There was a link to it somewhere. It's about taking those stories and honoring who you are from where you are right now today, because it's no good someone saying to you, okay, you can do all of this stuff over there when you do this and this, make all these changes, and then you can be happy and take action and do these things you want to do. That nobody wants to do that. It's about where am I right now today? Who is this person that I am? How can I acknowledge where I am now and move forward being the person that I am right now? I knew there was a link. I just lost my train of thought. What was it?
I love, well, of course, and yeah, and I love it, and it is so true. And I believe, and we'll talk about this a little bit, that even just making a bit of a conscious effort to look at those stories and perhaps change them for yourself, then really some great things can start to happen.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah. And sometimes you haven't even got to change the story as such. Sometimes it's just acknowledging, okay, we probably talk about fear as one of the big things that holds people back, the doubts and the oh, can I, can't I, will I, won't I. Sometimes just by acknowledging, okay, this is where I am right now, this is how I'm feeling about this thing, even that could just move people forward, because it's when we sort of try and shy away from those feelings and squash them, that's where a lot of that frustration, or the beginnings of that frustration, can come from.
Absolutely. In a way, it gives them more power when we
Yeah.
try to hide from them.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now, what I have found with people who are taking part in my Write a Book in a Weekend events is that there can be a little bit of push-pull of excitement and terror
Yeah.
into writing a book, where it's like, they signed up and they're like, oh, okay, this is going to be great, and I'm going to get a short and powerful book done. It's going to be a big business card. And yet then it's a little bit of like fear of like, oh, I'm going to have to step into someone that maybe I'm not quite comfortable in being yet, or I'm going to get attention paid to me, as I go out there and if I do a book signing or I do some webinars. And, they feel like, well, I'm an introvert. And so then that can cause, I have found, some push-pull in the mind, and it can really kind of cause people to become paralyzed in a little bit of inaction. So what I say, does that ring true to you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, very, very true. And there's also another part of this as well, is if you'll find probably if you were to poll the people that have signed up for the weekend, when they first signed up, it's that shiny, yeah, hey, this is going to be amazing and exciting. But there's usually a gap between signing up and then starting, because that's the logistics of the internet. And your time, you're not going to be available at the moment they sign up. And what our brain does in that time in between, it starts showing us, well, maybe this isn't such a great idea. It's almost like that buyer's remorse. And the way I would encourage you, one of the ways I would encourage your participants to move forward from there, is actually, first of all, by acknowledging those feelings. Okay, and we tend, in the personal development world, we talk about the lizard brain. Seth Godin was the one famous for making that expression, the lizard brain. And that's great. It's allowed us to have conversations about that part of our brain. But we've almost demonized the lizard brain and go, oh, the lizard brain, oh, I made it into this terrible thing. Your brain just wants to keep you safe. Because where you are right now, I'm assuming that you're there with clothes on and you're well fed and life is safe. You're not about to die of starvation, I hope. The chances are. And so the status quo where you are right now is safe. You start signing up to write books, change is not good as far as your brain is concerned. So actually, if we could start by being kind to ourselves, it's ourselves, I mean, our brains are us, but this idea of the lizard brain, instead of it being this really bad, oh no, the lizard brain wants to hold me back and no, I would encourage your participants to start by actually thanking your brain for keeping you safe, acknowledging where you are right now, going, I know this is scary, I know that there's uncertainty, I know that we don't know all the answers yet, we don't know what's going to happen over there, but it's okay. It's almost like if you had taken a small child out for the day, and the child's really excited about this, oh, it's going to be amazing, but then, oh, but there might be people, and oh, and all the, that push pull. It's like almost like managing a little child. And
Right.
so by reassuring your little child, reassuring your brain, being kind and gentle, that will go a long way towards actually taking that action. And you touched on this a little bit earlier on, but I imagine one of your logistics, sort of helping people prepare, is talking about maybe telling the people around you in your day-to-day life, right, this weekend I'm going to write a book, and that's great. But what I want to encourage you to do as well is to remember that this is your choice, and to take ownership of where you are today and change the language around it. Because if you're anything like, I don't know what the ratio of men to women, but are in your course, but women more so than men, if they were going to speak to their spouse, they'd say, right, I have to do this book this weekend, and I'm ever so sorry, but, and we approach this conversation almost from a position of, oh yeah, I have to, oh sorry. No, you're choosing to do this. And again, I know it's just words, but it's all just semantics, but the game is won or lost in our heads. And if we go, actually, do you know what, I am choosing to do this weekend, this is what I am doing, rather than should and have to. You're choosing to write a book, you're choosing to do this. That's much more powerful and can go a long way towards stemming that fear. And the last thing I have for you as well is concrete reminders around you of why you're doing this. I don't know if this is one of the exercises you do, but why do you actually want to write this book? Write those things down, and then put physical reminders around you as you're writing, whatever that can look like, and it will vary from person to person, but actual concrete reminders of why you're doing it, so that you get from the initial excitement to that messy middle part when things feel a bit tough, or maybe the dog vomits on the carpet and you have to ask somebody else to clean it up because you're writing. All those reasons why you're doing it, they will help you get past that sort of should I, shan't I piece as well.
Oh, those are fantastic tips. Yes, I encourage people to create what I call a vision and a touchstone statement.
Brilliant.
Of what their life will be like when they're holding their book in their hands and how they will feel. But I like how you take it a little bit further to even have visual reminders of this around. So when we forget, there's something right there to pop it back into our mind and remind us about why we're doing this. And I also give some tips on some practical tips about environment, setting up your writing environment, getting the people on board that are in your house. I never even really thought about it, but you're so right that some people could couch it in such a way of, oh, I have to do this, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, you signed up for the program, and I encourage them to, refresh themselves on that initial excitement that they had.
Definitely.
And, and then I'm going to guide them through the process. So we get them on that highway of success. So what other tips would you have to help really, embrace this in the mind about writing a book in a weekend? And also just a reminder, I encourage people to write what I call a short and powerful book. We're not writing War and Peace in a weekend or a tale. We're writing something that is modest in content but meaningful in message.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. You've actually reminded me of one of as a blog post I read years ago, and it's stuck with me. It's called How to Click Your Way to Making Loads of Content, Creating Loads of content, and it's actually completely applicable to this weekend. And we sort of touched upon this a little bit when we talked about those physical reminders. But it reminded me when I first started writing, I think it was my second book. It was Christmas time, and I bought a candle from, do you have Yankee Candle in the US?
Yeah.
Of course you do. Yankees, an American thing. We probably pinched it from you. Sorry, of course you do. Stupid question. Yeah, they're yours, they're not ours. Yeah. So I had a Yankee Candle, and it was called Snowflake Cookie. It was a pink one. It smelled amazing. And while I was writing that book, every time I would come to my desk, and I would always light this candle. And then I came across this blog post again, and it reminded me actually that habit of literally every single time I would light the candle, and the smell, and it was just made it cozy, and it made the whole process feel inviting, which in itself was lovely. But it also primed my brain as well. It told my brain, right, it's time to write now. And it hasn't got to be a candle. It can be anything, whatever those habits you can create in your environment that prime your brain. That's a really great first step My other favorite topic that it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention it. It's called the reticular activating system, and I also call it yellow car syndrome. Now, it is a bit sciencey, but it has a point, so bear with me, because it's actually
I'm sorry, you also call it yellow what?
yellow car syndrome, because I have a yellow car. Okay, so it'll make sense in a sec. So what the reticular activating system does, it's in your brain, and it filters information into your consciousness. So maybe the first time you found out that you were pregnant, and all of a sudden you'll see pregnant people around you, or you'll see people pushing pushchairs, or like in my case, you buy a yellow car and suddenly you see yellow cars everywhere. It's your brain filtering in the things that it thinks are important to you. Now, how we can use this, do you remember we talked earlier on about how this happiness stuff is totally applicable to writing books? Because, you know, if you're happier, you're more productive. If you're more content, you get stuff done. You know, if you're feeling rubbish, you're not going to want to write a book. So what I would encourage you to do in the days, I'd encourage you to do it every day, but as you get ready for this book adventure this weekend, I would encourage you to start looking out for those things that make you smile. Because the more that you can consciously pay attention, and you're signaling to your brain, this is important to me, the more your brain will filter those things in. We've probably all had experiences, you know, sometimes we get into that frame of mind where it's like one thing after another goes wrong, and oh, there's this and then there's that, and we spiral downward. We can also spiral upward. We don't talk about it so much, but we can totally spiral upward. And it's all thanks to the reticular activating system. A concrete example of that is your Facebook news feed. I don't know, Donna, how many kittens you see in your Facebook news feed. I imagine it's probably a lot, because, yeah, see, I'm not wrong. Because you interact with kittens and nice, positive things, you don't tend to see, I don't know, pictures of pygmies, or I don't know, I can't think of an example. But Facebook, if Facebook was to show you every single post that your friends and pages put out into the world, you wouldn't better cope. It would be too much. So it uses its algorithm to filter stuff based on what you click on and what you comment on. Your brain does exactly the same thing. So like you can hack your Facebook news feed, and if you haven't tried that yet, I would encourage you to do it. It's liberating. But you can hack your Facebook news feed. You can totally hack your brain. And so the biggest tip I would give you, or the biggest part of preparation I would give you from a mindset perspective, is to get yourself ready and in a positive frame of mind, and the reticular activating system will help you do that.
That's fabulous. Yes. So yes, you get a yellow car, you see yellow cars everywhere. And then also you probably noticed that on Facebook, when you click on certain things, you see more of those things. Yep. So what is in your click stream? What are you clicking on?
Exactly.
And you want to make it positive things that support you. Right?
Yeah, and you can teach it to your kids as well, actually. Funnily enough, my 13-year-old, I watched Love Island. I don't know if you have Love Island in the US, but there's Love Island. It's
I don't know. Yeah.
It's reality TV. It's like, it's trashy. I don't really watch it normally, but she was excited about it, and I watched it with her. And I liked one of the things on Instagram. Oh, that's it now, she said. You're going to get all those Love Island bots. And I said, well, actually, do you know what? That's what I'm talking about when I tell you to focus on the things that make you smile. So if you've got children, and if they tend to be a bit negative, I'd encourage you to teach them about the yellow car syndrome too.
It's
brilliant. It's my favorite thing.
I love it. And I also love the story about, you called it a habit of lighting the candle, preparing. Yeah. It's really a ritual. It can be a sacred ritual of writing or just completing something, and something so small like that, but that also brings in the different senses.
Yes.
You know, like scent and the glow of the candle can really help set the tone. And as I'm sure you know, Elle, what it does is puts the mind in the right space and the heart in the right space to get to writing or taking action.
Totally.
Much a nice, kinder, gentler way than what I'm always saying is just button chair.
Yes. Yeah, but that's true too, unless you've got a standing desk, but yeah.
Oh, excellent. Anything else you want to add about this?
No, I think, because I made notes beforehand of all the exciting stuff I want to tell you, but I think we've talked about most of it, actually. No.
All right.
But that said, if you've got questions, or if there's anything that we've touched on that you want to ask more about, go for it. Or people can send me emails if they want.
All right. Yeah, that was my next question. How can people get a hold of you or follow you?
Yeah, well, I've got there's a few different ways. I've got a website, go2l.com, which is by the time this video goes live, we'll have a lovely new MP3. If you're looking for a really fun way to start your day, to get yourself ready to take action, by the time you've started this weekend, I'll actually have that available on the site, which is it's going to be a really fun way just to, do you know, I know people say that affirmations are a really good idea, and that and yet for me, as a non-woo-woo person, affirmations, you're like, oh, please, come on. Well, I've taken affirmations, I've made them fun, basically. So if that sounds like something that you would get value from, and I would dare you to at least try it for a week, go to go2l.com. But they've also got a podcast as well. If you're into podcasts, search for Go to L and then my name, L Edwards, and you'll find it on iTunes and Stitcher and all those sorts of places. And yeah, I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual places. But yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. So go to L.com, and L is
Yes.
spelled E-L.
E-L, yeah, sorry, yeah, it's short for Eleanor, which is my proper name, but only my mother calls me Eleanor.
Oh, well, see, and that was my mother's name. So,
no way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, no wonder we're connected. So
yes, obviously meant to be.
Excellent, Elle. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Elle Edwards, the Mindset Geek, with a lot of great tips for getting in the right place, for writing a book in a weekend, or really kind of getting anything done about moving into that place where it becomes easier for you. There's less resistance. Be kind to yourself.
Yes.
As she said, I really believe in that as well. And I look forward to working with you this weekend in getting your book done. And until then, this is Donna Kozik. I'm the founder of MyBigBusinessCard.com and the creator and leader of the original Write a Book in a Weekend program. I've been talking to Elle Edwards, Mindset Geek. You can find her at go2l.com. And both Elle and I look forward to seeing you in the bookstore.